Hello everyone, this is John Jenkins, and I just want to bring you another video on my third channel, my brand new channel, and so just to tell you guys, my Kickstarter will be done in 5 days. I just got another backer, a seventh backer. So I get to send out I wanted to send out my first script to 10 people, but now I get to send it out to 7 people. And, you know, it's not it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't follow the Hollywood formula. So, I would never get it made into a film anyway. But, um, uh, I wanted to answer I wanted to answer one question in particular is that why did I why now? Why did I start the first two Kickstarters uh uh Busco Quaternary, Unified Field Theory, and why did I transition from Unified Field Theory to the Black James Bond? Well, I was motivated by, I wouldn't say greed. It's just sort of I forgot the word for it. It's a feeling you get when you're afraid that somebody else is gonna do it before you. I forgot what the word for that is. Uh, because what I thought, the reason why I did not research, why I did not, wait until I was further along in my developments. The reason why I did not do the peer review before I started my Kickstarter, why I didn't, you know, uh, do all the research and development for the Buscal Quaternary before I started. First of all, because I knew that I couldn't afford to do all that, and I was starting with zero, so I was gonna have to figure out a way to encourage others to really fully fund my ideas, and then I was gonna be able to move forward with them. And secondly, I thought that through the process of simultaneous discovery, I was going to, somebody else was going to somebody else was going to figure it out at the same time that I did, and as a result, they were going to, it was a race to the top. They were going to uh, publish their ideas at the same time that I did, and whoever got there first was going to get the most media attention for the ideas, for the four-dimensional operating system, and for unified field theory. And there was the recent controversy uh, over people were complaining that people were people were complaining that there had never been a Black James Bond, and there was a lot of buzz going around that they were gonna force Ian Fleming to write a Black James Bond. So you know necessity is the mother of invention. So eventually somebody was gonna write a Black James Bond script, and you know I'm sure other people have written such scripts before, but I really wanted to get in there I really wanted to strike while the iron was hot, and get my entry in there. Um, and I was burned. To know the reason, I was burned back in the 2000s. Uh, I actually I actually had the idea for the cloud before Microsoft did. And basically, what happened was I was in college and I had this external hard drive, right? And I was uh, extremely poor. I didn't have a lot of supplies. I couldn't afford the cameras and stuff like that. I had a little cheap camera, but I could, I always had my external hard drive, and it was 500 gigabytes, which was a lot of space at the time for a student anyway. And so I had the external hard drive, and there was this one guy that I went to college with, and he was a higher grade than I was, but he was this filmmaker. And every quarter, he would always find me in the building, and he would always beg me to let him store his footage on my external hard drive. And um, I didn't want to say no to him, because for any number of reasons, I didn't want to say no to him. So I would let him store his film footage on my hard drive. Like I said, he was a filmmaker, and so he kept doing it, kept doing it, kept storing stuff on my hard drive, kept begging me for more space. And one night, he came to my house, and he was like, "Let me borrow the hard drive, and I'll return it to you." By then, I believe, by then I had switched to another external hard drive. I didn't need that one anymore, something like that, or maybe I just trusted him that much that I would let him, uh, borrow the hard drive overnight. But anyway, actually, I think what happened was I had bought a new internal hard drive for my computer, and I had backed up all my data on the internal hard drive so that I had a hedge against losing all my data. But I let him borrow the external hard drive overnight, and this time though I made him sign a contract, and no money was exchanged, but it was just a contract, basic. You get to use this for this much time, this, and I didn't have like space, just like the cloud. I did not have any space limits because economies of scale. Obviously, most people aren't going to use that much. So, you can take space from the people who don't use much and use that for the people who use a lot, you know. So, yeah, so, I came up with the idea for the cloud, before Microsoft, and but I never capitalized on it. I never went to a venture capital firm. I never, obviously Kickstarter was not popular when I was in college. People weren't talking about it, so I didn't know what it was. So uh, basically, I just said it's just a side hustle. You know what I mean? It's just a side hustle, and uh, so I missed out. I was in there early. I had the idea. I had the business model. I just didn't connect. I hadn't read about economies of scale, so I didn't know how that whole area worked. But yeah, I mean, so yeah. Speaking of hustle, I I love reading the the people who make jokes about my Kickstarters. I love reading their stories. And somebody called what I do a hustle, and you know I was thinking about it. Am I a hustler? Well, what I do is a what I do on Kickstarter is a side hustle. Like I said before, I'm not. I've not been working in uh, computer programming for the last 30 years. I have not been working as a physicist for the last 30 years. And I certainly have not been working as a writer in Hollywood for the past 30 years. As a matter of fact, I just turned 31 this year. So, pretty much everything I do is a side hustle. I can't, my dreams are not, my dreams in life are not earning me enough money to where I can do this full time. I have to do other stuff to pay the rent, and uh, so it's a side hustle. I can't do this full time because I can't afford to. Um, so I mean, there's no shame in that. Hey, I mean, there's no shame in that. If you really have a dream, then you might have to do it, part time, you know, until you can earn enough money to do it full time. And like I said, I thought that I was, one second away from getting, from having the rug torn out from under me, just like with the cloud. And I thought that I thought that I was going to, have somebody else, take my idea from me. Uh, but it turns out that I'm at least 10 years ahead of the rest of everybody else. Uh, to the point where people are saying, uh, you know, people are saying it's impossible for a computer to count two things at once. You know, and you just look at them like, okay, it's impossible for a computer to represent anything except for it's impossible for transistors to represent anything except for a zero and a one. You know, and you just like I mean, it's like assuming that that was even possible. Uh, I mean, it is also possible that you know new things can be invented that change old things. So uh, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to keep it live on my new channel. So I wanted to do more than one video. today, but